I want to thank everybody for being here. We ask that you please stay muted unless you're asking a question, just to help with sound later on. So welcome everybody. I want to welcome you to the OCHA Lifelong Learning Institute, where learning should never end. This is a picture from a recent field trip class that they took. Before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge that Cal Poly Humboldt is on the land of the Biak people, which includes the Biak tribe, the River Rancheria, and the Blue Lake Rancheria. Arcata and the surrounding lands have a lot of history and culture and meaning to the people who have been ancestrally taking care of this land. So I hope we all take the time to learn the history and connect and build community with our native people. For questions today, Anne has asked that you can either pop them in the chat, ask them as we go along, or hold them until the end. I wanted to also mention some of our upcoming OLLI spring classes. We have a few left before the end of the semester, and so, or the quarter. So we have a new Frontiers in Equality study. We have Explorando Culturas con Isabel Allende, which is going to be, we're going to be following along with a book from Isabel Allende, and it's going to be pretty interesting. It's a four-day class. So if you're interested, you can jump on our website and register for some of these classes. I also want to thank our friends of OLLI who make soundbite presentations possible. It's their support and the contributions that make these free resources for our community. So thank you. I also wanted to remind folks that the library is not open for OLLI members. You can go ahead and get an ID when you go in, or you can email us or check the website to get an ID and use all the resources in there. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening on the third floor with the library archive. So I suggest going up there. I also wanted to put in a plug for the Let's Connect OLLI online conversations that I hosted every Friday. Every month there's a new set of topics, and I chose one to talk to you guys about today, which is, this is going to be not this week, but next week, and it is, if you could start all over again and change your career or job, what would you change it to and why? And so that's going to be our conversation in 2 weeks. You can find the registration for this on our website as well. And last but definitely not least, I want to thank our OLLI volunteers for their support and their help in bringing about relevant classes and courses every quarter. But with further ado, I'll pass it off to Jane so she can introduce our speaker today.
Welcome to everyone, and we're happy to see you here. And we're going to get an update from Ann Lindsay on the Life Care Humboldt project, which is continuing to develop rapidly. I probably think Ann thinks it slowly, but in any event, they've done a magnificent job. Ann Lindsay is president of the Life Care Humboldt Board of Directors, a group focused on establishing a nonprofit senior life plan community in Humboldt County. She was Humboldt County Public Health Officer from 1993 to 2011, when she and her husband, Alan Glaseroff, MD, shared a family practice in Arcata for 28 years and raised their 2 children here, and then were recruited to Stanford University in 2011 to establish a primary care clinic for Stanford employees and dependents and their families who have multiple chronic health conditions. The clinic improved care, lowered costs, and achieved top rankings in patient satisfaction with adoption of a new model of team care. The lure of life in Humboldt brought them back north in 2017. She's working on Life Care Humboldt, so she will not have to leave Humboldt County again. And we don't blame her. We don't plan to either. Thanks so much, Ann. It's all yours.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. While I'm doing that, I want to encourage people to sign up for OLLI and go get your student card, because before COVID, I traveled and I used a student card for admission to museums and things like that. It was quite helpful. Let's see, format. View. Slideshow. Here we go. Anyway, it's lovely to have you all here, and I recognize a lot of the names, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person someday when it's safer, COVID. But I just, and a few of you may have, a lot of you have been to the other presentations, but I'm just going to do a 2-minute review of what Life Care Humboldt is. We're planning to build and operate a resident-led community for people 60 and over. And we don't call them seniors anymore, they're older adults. And or retirees, because we stop working at certain jobs and keep doing other things. So and we're going to have independent living cottages and apartments, and we're going to provide assisted level services right in people's independent homes. And we're going to have memory care on campus, and we're looking for a very progressive memory care model, which is very home-like. I'm excited about that, having had Alzheimer's in my family and looked at a lot of different memory care units, both in the New England area and here. And we're going to have dining venues, fitness and wellness center, art studio, meeting spaces where we hope to have OLLI, and trails and a picnic area and a 4-acre farm that actually is going to connect up to the bike pedestrian trail system, that goes all the way to Eureka, and then you can get access over down out the bottoms to the Hammond Trail and all the way, which is going to be connected to Trinidad. So that's really exciting. So the way Life Plan Community works is people pay an entry fee, which guarantees you a place, living there, that you don't have to move again, and a monthly fee that covers most of your living costs. And we are focusing on keeping the entry fees within the range of local home values. And there is a way, you basically don't own your home, but you can maintain the equity by selling your home and moving in if you pay a higher entry fee on admission, and then 80% of the entry fee gets returned to your estate. We got a lot of great people working on this, and I'm just going to let you, if anybody has a question about who anybody is, let me know. But our volunteer, everybody's volunteers. We have, and I'll go through the history some, but it's just amazing. All the work that people are doing, even if they don't want to move in, they think it's a good for the community. Okay. So we basically started getting together in 2019, and there are various people I came in touch with who were interested in building an elder commune or cooperative or some kind of thing. And we decided that it'd be better to have an organization around us, because if you have a communal situation and people start really needing lots of care, who's going to take care of us? So we started with a website, a newsletter, and really had to introduce the life plan concept to Humboldt County, because there's not one with a life plan community like this within 200 miles. We became a nonprofit early in 2020. We have hired Greenbrier, which is a advisor to life developing and life plan communities. It has a lot of experience and has been guiding us, and they have drawn up our financial plans and the timeline and all of that, that we think overall the cost of building and finances could be as high as $78 million. But fortunately, we don't have to raise all that much money. And I'll go into what we have to do, but we'll be able to get bonds at some point. So throughout 2021, we just continued to get more community support. We launched a survey on design and amenities and also move-in readiness. And we're really focusing on move-in survey, and I'll provide the link later on. But that's so helpful. It's a great way to learn about the offerings that we're going to have and give your input of what you'd like to see there. Because our idea is if we build it with you, it will nail it. We'll get the right thing for Humboldt County. And we started our fundraising in 2021, and the idea is to raise $4.5 million development funding. In 2022, our initial offer for the Creekside property was accepted. We by that point we had 930 people receiving the newsletter, and our donations and grants have come in, And are engaged with discussions with of life plan community affiliates, in other words, a nonprofit life plan community out of the area who might like to partner with us. And now we're in what we call the build it phase. So we need to keep raising money. And we're gonna, that once we, down the line, we're gonna hire an architect, begin the design, qualify for construction bond funding. We're going to begin the priority club, which is a waiting list, which I'll explain later, and open a preview office with somebody there who can answer all of your questions about how this works. And anyway, and hopefully to begin construction and move in 2025. So here's the property right here, Highway 101, and there's a Foster Avenue goes right here, and that's where there's an entrance. Highway 101 by Humboldt, by Cal Poly, I should change that. And then this is Alliance, one of the big streets that goes north-south in Arcata. And you can see this is property is there's a mile to the university and a mile to the Arcata Plaza, and within a mile, Mad River Hospital. And it's bordered on the west by a 24-acre conservation easement. And there's all of that land to the west is dedicated to agriculture. So we're planning 80 homes, expanding to 144 with time. And we basically are aiming to have the community be accessible for a diverse range of people with a diverse range of incomes. And I'm excited that we'll be able to downsize and open up housing for the workforce, because it's, as you're probably all aware of how difficult it is for people who come to work at the university or for the county or for the hospitals, and having a really hard time finding housing. And even a couple of years ago, the county housing plan, I recognized that to accommodate the growing population of elders may be the #1 housing challenge. So our theme is that Life Care Humboldt's good for us, good for the older adults, and that's why a lot of us are working on it, but it's also good for the whole community. And that basically, if any of you have had experience, well, with COVID, we've all known what it's like to be at home and not be able to get out. So you can imagine what it's like as you get older, and if your family's not around and you don't have a car and you're not close to neighbors, or you can't, just get out and with your walker and go down the street, that really there's risk of social isolation, and people who are socially isolated at higher risk for depression and memory issues. And where all our homes are going to be universal design to reduce the risk of falls. And that means no stairs. It means wide entryways and accessible bathrooms, and even and the light switches will be lit. And even, the plugs will be more like waist level rather than down on the ground. So you don't have to get on your knees to plug in the lamp. But, and we're going to offer a continuum of services in one location so people can really age in community. And we're planning on care coordination to facilitate specialty service access and telemedicine or video conferencing area where people can get tech help to connect to their medical care. And one thing is we'll have a meal plan and access to food. And that's one thing when you're home alone. It's hard to keep eating well, especially if it's tricky to get out and shop, or and cooking for one is not as much fun. But once people move in, it basically provides you a lot of economic stability and reduces worry for you and your families. And your costs you'll be able to predict them over time. Whereas if on your own home, if you need 24-hour care, that can be, $20,000, $30,000 a month if you can find people. And as I said, we're planning on memory care on the same campus. And so you or your partner need memory care, it's right there. I'm really excited. We're very close to signing a letter of intent with Cal Poly Humboldt, which would enable or facilitate service learning and internships of Cal Poly students at Life Care Humboldt. And the nursing, and social work, and kinesiology departments have been leading that effort, and OLLI is right in there. They're interested in co-locating and having OLLI, in-person OLLI right there on campus. And this would also give our residents access to a lot of the facilities at Humboldt, at Cal Poly Humboldt, which is really exciting, and we'll be offering transportation up the hill. And we also have talked about a partnership with the North Coast Preparatory and Performing Arts Academy. It's a middle school. And the idea is we're also going to just create an atmosphere where you can continue to learn and share your skills. Now, we also pride ourselves and are aiming on environmental stewardship. And it is a former mill site, and environmental impact report has already been done, and there was some cleanup, but it's now ready for development. We're planning to be net zero, and actually Peter Lehman of the Schatz Energy Center has done initial feasibility study where we could become a community microgrid. So have solar collectors right there on campus, and battery storage, and really basically not have to pay PG&E utility bills, which would be nice. But also if the PG&E went down, we could be independent for a period of time. We're planning part of it, properties bordered on the east by Janes Creek, and we're planning restoration. We are working with the city on restoration of Janes Creek. And I already mentioned that we'll be connected to the North Coast Trail System, and we'll have van transportation, and linked to public transportation, so we won't all be in our cars all the time. And we're planning on having a 4-acre farm on the adjoining 24-acre conservation easement, which would be fantastic. And we'll have dark sky lighting, which is basically, the street lights and things will be pointed downward, so to keep light pollution from darkening the sky, lightening the sky, excuse me. So here are some prices, and I know right away that these prices were put together before the real boost in construction costs, and but the man who works for us who does this is pretty conservative to begin with, so we'll see. But as you see, the least expensive is around $266,000 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And if you pay $380,000 for that, then 80% of that will get back to your estate when you die. And so you can see it goes up considerably to rather expensive if you're relatively expensive for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with the den, and but that there's a whole range of prices, and relatively speaking, it's inexpensive. A friend of mine is involved with the development of Enzo community in Healdsburg, and I know a number of you have looked at that community. And there, it's a partnership with the San Francisco Zen Center and the Kendall Quaker communities. And that their entry fees start at $800,000. What about pets? Yes, we'll allow pets. And actually, it's interesting. I think that we'll, we had a lot of discussion about how to empower the residents, because one of the challenges of becoming older is in the community, we become invisible, or we lose agency or power, or decision-making power. So we want to empower the residents for decision-making thing. And I think like a pet policy is a great example of something I think the residents could decide for themselves. I mean, obviously you don't want somebody with like 20 dogs in a 800 square foot apartment, but that we need to establish as a community what is reasonable. Oh, I want to go back actually, if I, oh shoot. Okay, I'm going to go back to this slide. While because I want to talk about the monthly fee, because that's another thing that it's not rent, but it covers a meal plan and utilities and maintenance. And I have another slide that just look at the numbers now, and I'll get back to what that's in there. Our efforts to be accessible to mid-income seniors, and 80% of the 75-year-olds in our county own their homes, and everybody, well, many of you realize the home values are going up actually, which will help people pay their entry fees, but that we are pricing the entry fee in line with mid-income home values, and the monthly fees in line with what the mid-income people assets of mid-income people have in Humboldt County. And the fees will go up if we don't aren't successful or don't meet our fundraising goals, which is one reason why, you know, we're really making a big effort for fundraising at the moment. Here's what the monthly fee is: your utilities, a meal plan, maintenance, and that's something I'm really looking forward to, because every time something goes wrong, and the toilet doesn't flush, or the refrigerator, you know, the freezer conked out or whatever, our mantra is just call maintenance, and we're looking forward to doing that. Life Care Humboldt. There'd be housekeeping, on transportation from the campus, and a lot of events and wellness events, security, and access to community amenities, and a higher level of care service available if needed. So our website has some frequently asked questions in there, and I picked out a couple of them because they're questions that come up all the time, and I figure this will give you a chance to, you know, if you need more information, to ask. Jane says, is there be storage units somewhere if you have too much stuff in one bedroom apartment? I think my hunch is that there are storage units in the community, but it depends on what the demand is at the time. That's an interesting, one of the things that encouraging everybody to start weeding out some of your stuff. And I actually, was it last week? Oh, the Funeral Consumers Alliance had a presentation by Maggie Kraft on reducing stuff, and that she has a business actually that helps people weed through things. And Sherman wanted to know if the entry fee is amortizable over a certain number of years. Not that I know of, Sherman, but that I believe you have to pay it as you enter. But that again is something that needs to be clarified. The 80% can be returned to you if you leave for a reason other than dying, but otherwise, if you pass away while you live there, it goes into your estate. So yeah, Joanne's helping. Thank you, Joanne. So
this is Kim. I wanted to let you know, just in case you weren't aware, what we're seeing is you're not in a presentation mode.
okay, here we go. I was having trouble. Something was in the way. Now here we go.
Oh, you're back to the beginning. There we go. Thank you.
Thanks for reminding me. Okay. So here, why would you sell your home? Everybody, we love our homes, most of us. And we worked on the yards for years, and these little seedlings we planted are now beautiful trees. And who was it? Somebody and had their beautiful magnolias, their screen background. But one of the things is that as we get older, it gets harder to take care of our homes. And so repairs will be taken care of. You won't have to pay property tax because, as I pointed out, you don't actually own the property. You own the right to be there and be a community member. And, you know, cleaning and landscaping is done for you. The meals are available. a good company close by and a vibrant community, and that there are a number of people who quite interested and who would be great neighbors, and make it really fun to be close by and wouldn't have to get in your car to go see somebody. Patty Berg is one of our board members that insists that we have front porches so she can sit and have cocktail hour and have people come by and say hi. And it's a seamless transition to higher level care if it's needed. And if you've had experience in the community, if some family member or if you had a stroke or broke a hip or whatever, and suddenly can't get, not easy to get into a up the stairs and in the home and into the bathtub and all of that, that all the level of care will be right there on campus. And it's an opportunity to learn skills and share skills and take advantage of transportation as driving becomes more difficult. And it's a way of actually taking advantage of the money that you have tied up in your home. And you can also, as I pointed out, preserve it for your state anyway. So a lot of people concerned about medical care. And that's always been an issue. It's one of the, we love living in Humboldt County, and one of the challenges about being in Humboldt County is access to medical care, but it sure has gotten a lot easier accessing specialists out of the area since we can do video visits. And that's something that people in the healthcare were working for decades or a decade at least to try to make that accessible. And within a very short time of COVID onset, we can basically do a lot of your medical care by video conferencing. So we will have a telemedicine center and assistance to help people with the tech aspects of it. We're planning to have care coordination available where to help you get the right place in a timely fashion and all the information that needs to get to the consulting provider there, and all the information that's generated from that visit to get back to the referring provider. And we really plan to optimize home health services and support like the PACE model does, which is a program run out of the Humboldt Senior Resource Center. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but we are planning to have partner with Danco, who will build some cottages on campus. They'll be designed by the same architect, and the cottages will be available to or affordable, be available to low income residents, and as much as possible will integrate the services. But the people in the affordable housing are eligible for the PACE program if they health issues develop to the point where they really would qualify for being in skilled nursing. The PACE model really takes people in that condition and helps them stay home. And there's a lot of aspects of that PACE model that can be adapted to a life plan community. And the only reason I say you can't do directly the PACE model is it depends on Medicare and Medi-Cal, the insurance available to certain low-income individuals. You have to combine that Medi-Cal and Medicare, and PACE takes care of everything based on that. But our campus is open close to the new Open Door Clinic and Mad River Hospital. And one of the things is we plan to facilitate geriatric training for medical practitioners throughout the county. And that right now, as far as I'm aware, Jennifer Heidemann and Tim Haskett are the only geriatric trained practitioners in the community, and they're at the PACE program. In terms of the fees, the long-term care insurance would certainly cover if you need assisted living level services, and I'm skipping to the questions here, assisted living level services or memory care. So oh, Joanne, you're doing a great job answering all. Okay, here we go. This is a big one. What about tsunami and sea level rise? And we've had expert input from Lori Dangler and Alderon Laird. And the elevation of proposed life care property is well above the projected 2030 sea level rise, which Alderon sent me this drawing or photograph, I guess, with the sea level projected on it. Not that we won't have problems as a community, but we feel that it's adequate. And same thing, we're not in the tsunami run-up zone. So we looked at 15 properties throughout the county, and that tsunami was an issue at some of the properties, and that really ruled them out. So we have lots of donors, and sometimes donors of significant funds. And the question is, well, does donating get me on the waiting list? And we can't do that directly. Like you donate, you're to a nonprofit. We're not allowed to turn that into priority wait on the waiting list, but donors can be notified when we get a waiting list opening up. And the first level of a waiting list would be called what's a priority club, and we'll be notifying you on our Facebook and Instagram and in our monthly newsletter. And what priority club is we're asking people to give $1,000, which is fully refundable. And that enables us to show bond funders that we do have people who are willing to put up money and they're quite interested. And it allows us to focus the educating them, what the community is going to entail and how do you actually get from, answer some of Sherman's questions of how do you get from selling your house to moving in, how do you make that happen? But, and also in the Enzo community, for example, that people who are in the priority club get a significant discount in the entry fees. And that had been, I think their discount was at 10 or 15% discount in the entry fees. So undoubtedly we'll have, if that's the model that's done in the life plan communities, we'll adopt that as well. So what are the things our Life Care Humboldt board is trying? Why do we need to raise money before we can get the bonds? And we have to make initial payments on the property. Architects are expensive, a civil engineer, a landscape architect. And this is all to get all the plans together and to get the final approval for the development. And so for the licensing of a life plan community. And we have to put effort in and pay for the effort to get 10% down payment from 70% of the residents before we can actually get licensed and get our bonds done. So that'll be a period of time after we establish a priority club. We'll then be looking for down payments. We need funds to do specifically on the solar and the energy planning. And we have consultants to help us with the licensing and planning the facility administration and, an accountant and all of that for audits. And there's some cost associated with financing and bond issuing. I'm going to look at I've been looking at the chats here. Oh, the site is within the Arcata city limits. It's been annexed, actually. Okay, Joanne, thank you about the low income. All right, so here we are. Over the next 3 years, we need $2 million from grants, pledges, and donation. And I'm so sure that this is going to be a real model community. We're going to do things in the Humboldt way, integrating affordable and mid-income and up housing in a sustainable development in rural area. And actually, we have to get looking for a senior life plan partner. And a few of them have already said, It's way too remote. And many of you have been built programs here, including the OLLI program, that were told, oh, Humboldt's way too remote. And well, OLLI pulled it off, and hospice has pulled off some great development, and we have a lot of, and the North Coast Village support program was also unusual to be in a rural area. So I think really we can do this. We've gotten already $770,000 in donation and pledges to date from 245 people and businesses. And the Berg Foundation, Rose Perrinan and Smullen, as well as Redwood Capital Bank, have given us grant funds. If we don't get a partnering life plan community, we're going to be looking for investors. And if you can imagine it, this will probably raise our entries. Hopefully not by much, but because you have to pay relatively high interest on people investing in a community that's really not even built yet. And then once we apply for the bond financing, we have to have what's called liquidity support. So it's money just sitting there, and in case the community doesn't take off and is not successful, that money will be tapped as a compensation to the bond issuer. And I must say, I think the challenge for us is to get to the bond funding. I think that given the interest in the community and the plan that we have, that I no doubt, and all of us working on the board are no doubt that we will be a success. And I like to say we're the little engine that could, and we're gathering steam. So this is, as I mentioned, this is really a grassroots effort. And many people working this are older adults. And we're active and in the community now, but we can see we're at risk for being vulnerable. And we have 940 people getting our monthly newsletter. And I want to give a shout out to Star Siegfried, who puts that together, and Joanne Schuh and others work on it. We've had 6,900 volunteer hours logged, and that doesn't count everybody who's worked on things that we don't always collect the hours. In fact, I haven't turned in April hours yet. We have done a survey, and this is the move-in survey, and I'll be giving a link to that in a minute. And I encourage any of you who have not filled it out, please do, because this is a way of expressing your support. But after viewing the pricing and possible offerings in terms of apartments and cottages, and you have an opportunity to express your preferences on design, then the last question is, how likely are you to move into Life Care Humboldt in the next 3 to 5 years? And we've had 194 people say they're likely or very likely. And I know not everybody, and what I say, we have 80, we're going to have 80 apartments and cottages. There's a big step between saying you're likely and very likely to actually moving in. But this shows that this idea is really striking a chord here in Humboldt County. And we have collected design preferences from over 700 people, and our architects will be working with these design preferences in mind. One of the things we're just starting, actually, we have a training this afternoon, is ambassador program. And Ibi Gerner and Christine Kogan and Pat Gersick and Joanne Schuh and Star Siegfried have been instrumental in getting this going. But a number of people have sent us, responded in the website over the years. I'd love to volunteer and help out. How can I do that? And since we don't have an office, and we do things on email because we don't do mailings because they're expensive. There's been a challenge to see what can volunteers do. So given the fact that word of mouth is our most powerful and least expensive mode of advertising, we put together, we started training for people to be Life Care Humboldt ambassadors. And that means you get a button that says, ask me about Life Care Humboldt. You get a packet of information and some business cards that with a website address and the move-in survey address on it. And when people ask you what you've been doing lately, you say, I'm working with Life Care Humboldt, and here you go. Let me tell you about it. Or if, just to foster conversations out in the community. And the training, we had first training at Septentrio and Arcata, which was a fun thing to do. We all tested for COVID prior to the training so we could be inside. It was a nasty rainy day. And people heard about all finances and outreach. And as you see in pictures, Joanne has built a scale model of it actually reminds me of Monopoly houses, so, and people are invited to move the little houses and around the property. And it's a great way of envisioning and actually making it real. So we're actually having a training in another group today in Eureka. And that's one thing people can, it's a great way to learn, get all your questions answered, because that's the idea. We don't expect people to be experts because there's a lot there, but we do want people to feel comfortable talking about Life Plan Humboldt or Life Care Humboldt. Let's see, I'm going to go. Active. Joanne, you're doing a great job. Okay, here it is. This is Robert asked if I own my house and the equity is mine. If I'm self-sufficient, what are the advantages of paying $500,000 for something I don't own? And I think that, there's more information on the website and the frequently asked questions, but that's like, why would you sell your home? And the issue is, what's a better place for you for aging? In a community with easy accessible support, or in your home, which may not be set up for aging. And I did explain how if you pay a higher entry fee that you can preserve 80% of the equity of your entry fee. So I hope that answers that. And that's a really good discussion, I think, for people to have, is what might be the advantages of being in a life plan community. What is the website? lifecarehumboldt.org. All right. Uh-oh. I want to get back in the slideshow again. I'm going to have to share. I wanted to show you guys how you can help. Oh, that's not working. Give me a minute. We have time. How are we doing with the questions? Are we getting, people feel like they're getting answered? Here we go.
So, and if you go down to the bottom left of your screen,
Yeah,
there's a little back arrow. I think that should work for you.
here we go. Oh, okay. But I found it now. So I'll share. Oops. Well, again, you got the not this. Oh, there we go. View the slides show. Great. So what can you do? Here it is. Why would you sell your home? You don't have to fix stuff anymore. to me, that's the biggest one. Okay, so sign up for updates on, go to lifecarehumboldt.org, in the upper right corner, it's sign up for updates. We put out a newsletter monthly. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and share our posts. That really is helpful, actually. It's a good way. We try to, we try to fairly regularly put up news and information there, and sharing our posts really magnifies the effect there. You can take a guided tour of the property, and if you send me an email, Ann, ANN @lifecarehumboldt.org, and let me know what time you might be available. I can meet you at the property and take a walk around. We've been doing it about once a week, and it's a great way to really envision yourself there and see why we're so excited about it. Complete the move-in survey, and the link to this is also on the website. So if you don't have time to, or maybe we can put that in the chat. Tell your friends. It really is, as I said, that kind of marketing. We have a lot of money marketed it for marketing in our budget, and those of us working on spreading the word are hoping we don't have to spend it, that we can have you as our marketers and become a Life Care Humboldt ambassador. And same, you could send to Ann, ANN @lifecarehumboldt.org. And we're asking people to pledge financial support. And we accept one-time donations, that's great, but it's much more powerful for us and easier on your pocketbook at the moment to make a pledge. And like $33 a month over 3 years adds up to $1,200. And it's a lot easier to pay $33 at a time than $1,200 in one fell swoop. So, and that we don't need to spend all the money right away. Our costs are going to be spread over 3 years. And so that it's a way it works for you, and it really works for us. And we need to connect with business supporters. And if I call a business and I know the owner, it's a lot easier to get an appointment to, talk about why they should support Life Care Humboldt. So if you are a business owner and you're interested in becoming a business sponsor, we have lots of ways to help publicize our business, who are our business supporters, and thank them, and in the senior news or on our Facebook or in our webpage or in presentations. But if you know somebody who is a business owner who might want to connect with us, that would be also valuable. So I'm going to leave this up for a minute so you can.
And do you see Gail has a question? Gail, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. I was wondering, I'm fortunate enough to own my home, but you mentioned, wanting to make it a diverse community and low income. How about for folks who would want to live there? They don't have a home to sell and they don't have the income that would be required even for a 1-bedroom apartment. How are you going to be diverse and include people like that?
Right. We're partnering with Danco, which builds, then they're going to build affordable senior cottages on 4 acres out of the 16 acres in the property. We're planning to integrate that. People who want to live in the affordable housing will basically get subsidized rent. They won't have to pay the monthly fees to Life Care Humboldt, but they actually won't be eligible for some of the services, except maybe on a fee-for-service basis, like the meal plan. But we will be able to share activities and share the garden and the farm and share the walking and biking trails and a lot of the outdoor meeting areas and things like that. So that's a little bit unusual for a life plan community to do that. And it's something that we're proud of, having done that. And so I think that's when we say we want to be accessible to people of all income levels, that's how we're doing it, Gail. Anybody else want to speak up? Here's
This has
somebody.
been a great presentation.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody heard that Claire Paracelli responded to making plans for yourself can help your kid or kids when you no longer live or function independently. My own parents moved into Life Care community for their final 10 or so years, and it was much better situation than trying to provide care for them in their farmhouse. And I do think it not only is it challenging to find help, to take care of people one of our board members actually took care of her parents, took herself out of the job market, took care of her parents for 7 to 8 years, and at that time wasn't getting income, but also now she's retirement age, she wasn't paying into Social Security for that time. So it has an ongoing challenging effect for the children, for the family members, who are caring for people at home. And so I think that's it. Also, when we talk to employers or businesses, they're aware that when one of their employees or has their parents have a stroke or suddenly need a lot of care, that really takes them either physically out of the workforce or mentally out of their jobs. And so they would love to have a place where if a health status changes suddenly or gradually, that the solutions are easier to come by. So there'd be guest facilities available for visitors. And we talked about having an Airbnb. One thing, if there's unoccupied cottages, I don't see why we couldn't rent them out. And we talked about having like an Airbnb, but every square foot you build costs a lot of money. And in order to keep the cost down, we decided to, other than unoccupied cottages, and we're hoping there are not going to be a lot of those, but there will be from time to time. They're not going to have a motel or hotel or Airbnb on campus, but there are quite a few in the community, and we can help people get to that. I think it's a great idea, but the expense is just, we're not a luxury life plan community, but we want to make it fun and practical. But also somebody asked about bikes, and actually one of the things which I hope people will put into the design survey is, I think we should have bike lockers or place to put your kayaks or things like that. And there will be, and we'll have to figure that out, that people are going to need some kind of storage space for their outdoor toys, and that it's secure. And Joanne pointed out that one thing is, if those of you have been involved with arranging home care, and if you, a lot of times if you have to have somebody come from Visiting Angels or one of those organizations, you have to pay for a 4-hour block of time, whether you need 4 hours, or even if you need an hour's worth, you pay for 4 hours. But when we've talked to the businesses that provide this kind of service, and including the home health at Mad River, they would be amenable to having people, since we'll all be in one community, having people be able to share blocks of time. So it'll reduce the cost to all of us, potentially.
That's a great idea. My sister has that issue. The only way she can get care is in the morning to get her up and have breakfast, and then in the evening, same kind of deal for dinner. And the problem with that being, what's the person doing when they aren't needed for such things? And do you try to keep them entertained, or you try to find busy work for them? I mean, it's actually becomes an issue. So it's a toughie. What you're doing is fabulous, Ann, and kudos to everybody involved. It's a fabulous idea, and I hope you get a lot of support as you need it. And I would say don't be afraid to call out to the community when things are not going at the speed you need, and come back to us and give us a few further updates.
Yeah, no, we actually have talked to Jim Wood, our assembly member, about state funding, and Aaron Dunn, who is the local staffer, is quite optimistic that there might be some funding for our development, developing our community. And I said, well, we have 940 people on our mailing list. Should I ask them to write Jim Wood a letter? He said, no, I have to process all of those. But there may be a time where we need people to step up like that. So that would be great. Yeah, the same thing. We've looking at and federal monies as well. There's for first time that Congress people are allowed to make what's called earmarks. I mean, for the first time in a while. It used to be, 10 years or so, used to have earmarks where they could funnel some money into needed projects in their own districts. So we're hoping to, Jared Hoffman can help us with that. So if you run across them, tell them you're a Life Care Humboldt supporter.
Well, the earmarks of the advantage is that it encourages Congress people to buy into the legislation that's associated with it. So I think that's why they've come back. Anyway, I want to thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And we're looking forward to updates in the future, maybe in the fall or the winter session again. And please give us a shout out when you'd like to come back and visit. And meantime,
I think it'd be a great idea to invite someone who's living in the life plan community to tell what that's like. And we have a couple of people I've been in contact with who would be interested in that. And I think that would be a great way to, and maybe help answer the question, why would you do this? Why would you leave your home? Why would you sell your home? So yes, thank you. I'll take you up on it.
Okay, well, I think that's a great idea, because I have a friend of mine in Denver who did that a year ago and sold her home and had to go through everything and get rid of it. She had time to do that and then moved in and loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that she had a fabulous experience. All right. Well, I want to invite you all back next Monday to a talk by Jen Capps, the provost of Cal Poly Humboldt, about transitioning to Cal Poly Humboldt. And she'll describe the implications of becoming Cal Poly Humboldt for the curriculum and available majors, the hiring of faculty, coordination with CR, the anticipated size and nature of the student community, as well as the anticipated time frame for this evolution. So we'll look forward to seeing you all next week. And we can ask her then about the working with Life Care Humboldt.
Great.
Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week. Happy springtime. Happy rain. We're getting rain showers again.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah.